Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will go ahead and get started. SAMPI is happy to host the US Commercial Services and with this webinar, Connecting You to Global Markets. We will hand this over now to Pam Plagins. Thank you, everybody.
And welcome. Thank you for joining us today to Connecting You to Global Markets. We are very excited to be working with SAMPI on this program and thank them greatly for putting it together as an opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about our resources in the composites industry and how we can help SAMPI members and composites companies across the United States to increase their exports. So I'm going to be the mistress of the initial part of the program. I'm going to be setting the stage. My name is Pam Plagins. I'm Advanced Manufacturing Team Leader for the U.S. Commercial Service, part of the International Trade Administration of the U.S. Department of Commerce. And I am based here in beautiful, sunny, and a little warm Houston, Texas. Our agenda today, as you can see, we're going to kick off with an overview of the commercial service and the advanced manufacturing team's mission. Then hand over to our colleague in industry and analysis to talk about more about the sector. And we're going to get a picture of the composites market in Europe more broadly, and then drill down to individual countries, Czech Republic, France, Italy, and Spain. And then we'll kind of step back, look at some market entry strategies for entering the European markets, and then Q&A. And for those who have used Zoom before or any multiple platforms, if you could put any of your questions in the section called questions and answers. That will make it as easy as possible for us to kind of sift through them and then make sure we can answer them as quickly and as efficiently as possible for you. So there are two sections, the chat, if you can actually go to the Q&A. And this is a recorded webinar. So if you miss something, you can catch it a little later. I always like to just leave this slide here for a moment and let you read it. So companies that export grow faster and are less likely to go out of business. We have a lot of statistics about exporting companies and particularly those in advanced manufacturing. And we are here to help you build those markets. So what our clients say about us? I would just pull out a few of them. Best kept secret in government is one I've heard since I started in my career about 20 plus years ago. I like this one. It feels as if I have a whole team of support. So today we're going to show you one of those project teams that is here to support you. Another, for a small company, we simply would not have been able to accomplish as much as we did without the U.S. Commercial Services System. So our global presence. The U.S. Commercial Service mission is to create jobs and to maintain a strong U.S. economy. We help promote U.S. exports, ensuring market access and a level playing field. We also, in recent years, have been charged with helping promote foreign direct investment into the United States. We are located in your backyards in 106 offices across the United States. I'm here in Texas. I think we used to have 6 offices, but multiple. We're in 127 foreign locations. That's about 80 countries. Some of those are multiple market, are multiple offices in one country, or there's one office that is covering a regional area. So a global network of trade and investment professionals well positioned to help you meet your goals. And if you'll take a look at the picture, it gives you a little bit of a sense of where we are with our network. So The world is open for your business. Let our network work for you. We're affiliated with the US Department of Commerce, part of the US government. So we have worldwide recognition. As we said, we have a global network and we're results driven. We're here to help you export more. It is our mission, and we don't take a cut. We are public servants, but we do ask you as our price to share your success with us, because that helps us to maintain this strong network across the United States and be here when you need us. When you're looking for export counseling, market intelligence, business matchmaking, business to business engagement, or commercial diplomacy. There are times when a question, you're unsure what the answer, what you're looking for, or sometimes you know the answer and you just want to run it by somebody who is in a position of knowledge to confirm what you're looking for. We're that network. In addition to being available for counseling and providing services for our companies, and I just want to step back for a moment and say that our counseling, there's no charge for. The only time we charge a fee is for customized services, and everything is provided up front. And we have the discussion with you about the best strategy, be it a Gold Key service, a trade mission. I know we have so award-winning trade missions, and we partner with many of your partners to make sure that what we're doing is focused and timely, and will provide results. In the trade events department, here's just kind of a little bit of a flavor of, we have various types of trade missions that we participate in or we organize. We are at trade shows in your industry sectors. I think probably many of you saw us at JAC. You see us at CAMEX, walking the show floor. You've seen us at other shows, perhaps in the industry verticals that you focus on around the world and both in the United States. We also have 2 signature conferences, the Discover Global Markets Conference Series, which is held across the United States. And we have an overseas it's a really interesting Trade Wins series that we just wrapped up in Turkey about a month or so ago. So that's our overseas contingent of customized programs. I'm just going to drill down into the advanced manufacturing team and what we are. We cover industrial materials, additive manufacturing, automation and robotics, and material handling. And there's a lot under those. We work with the companies for the things that make the things. We are one of the 17 industry teams across our network, and we are cross-cutting around the world so that we are able to focus on delivering for industry sector specific information versus regionally, where we're in your backyard or we're answering regional questions in the country. So only 11% of US GDP is generated by exports. So it's safe to say we have a lot of room for growth. If you look at some of our other nations around the world, 47% of Germany's GDP is export related. China's 20%. United States is 11%. Last but not least, advanced manufacturing team leader is myself. This role could be anywhere around the United States or around the world. As I said, I'm based here in Houston, Texas, so I feel I'm well positioned in the plastics and the chemical industry and the composites as well. We partner with associations, states, manufacturing institutes. We partner with your local cluster. We partner across the US government, the trade promotion agencies, with SBA. We're here to help you meet your goals, and we meet you where you are. So if you want to find out where your local office is, go to trade.gov and contact us, pop in your zip code, or follow up with one of us after the event. And next, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Jaron Bass, based in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Pam. Again, I'm Jaron Bass with International Trade Administration's Industry and Analysis Business Unit. I'm located in our Office of Transportation and Machinery, and I'm on the machinery team. So if we could move over to the slide about INA. Pam, that'd be all right.
Yeah, I'm
Excellent. Thank you. So to give you a quick overview about what we do in INA, I'm going to be brief. We work really closely with the U.S. Commercial Service, so the rest of my colleagues on this call, including Pam, to enhance the competitiveness of U.S. industry abroad in a nutshell. So while our commercial service colleagues will be the regional experts, we focus on in-depth industry knowledge. So my portfolio, for example, includes robotics, 3D printing, and advanced materials. Other team members in my team would cover industrial automation, port equipments, ag and construction machinery, and more. So in addition to this, we also analyze trade and industry data. We engage with industry to address trade barriers. We help direct trade missions alongside our commercial service colleagues. We help with support ITA's presence at trade shows, kind of like Pam was discussing earlier. We also inform policymakers, since we're close to it in DC, on key issues and trends, providing guidance on anything from advocacy for industry, trade, providing material for trade discussions, and insight for manufacturing policy. We also recruit industry advisors for the Secretary of Commerce and for administration. We're going to move on to the next slide. I'll stop talking about what we do and want to take a few minutes to talk about manufacturing trade at a higher level. And then I'll briefly touch on some industries that we think are tangential to composites and advanced materials. So you're going to also hear some market-specific information from some of our commercial service specialists, or commercial specialists, excuse me, based out of our European offices. So I'm going to let them do the talking on that. But overall, big picture, our top export markets by volume in manufacturing, and this is just like anything that basically can be created by a variety of processes. So it's a big bucket. The top export markets by volume were 2023 were Canada, followed by Mexico. Might not be super surprising. Then we have China, Germany, Japan, and United Kingdom. What's interesting to note here, though, is that there's a changing landscape in manufacturing trade. And one thing I want to highlight is that Mexico overtook China for the first time ever as our largest import source for this equipment. We can move on to the next slide. Manufacturing of machinery. If we drill down a little bit further, we'll focus on a category that covers a good majority of machinery and equipment where most everything associated with advanced manufacturing would be located. Really large bucket, of course, a little bit smaller than what we were looking at before. But this is basically the other category, which is the really most annoying category I have to work with more frequently than I'd like to admit. But this is where a lot of special process machinery would take place, such as pultrusion machines, additive manufacturing, things for composites, rubbers, and plastics. Being perpetually years behind the curve, the buzzy technology usually just falls here, like most of the equipment and services associated with composites. Machinery manufacturing exports last year were more than 160 billion, Canada and Mexico taking the lion's share of that. However, if we were to look at Europe as one market instead of roughly 30 separate ones, this would definitely be a different picture. It would be a solid third place in terms of export volume. Next slide, please. Speaking of Europe, let's take a look at where manufacturing equipment is going there. Maybe not surprising to many of you here, but Germany is our largest export market, followed by the UK. Germany can be a tough market to enter, but once you're in, it can be a door opener to other countries throughout Europe, especially Western Europe. Netherlands and Belgium are also large export markets, but take this with a grain of salt because these are also key distribution hubs for the rest of Europe, and so they actually might not be the final destination for these goods. I do want to make a call out to some smaller markets that we've seen some major export growth over the last few years, although lower volume. Countries like Poland and Czech Republic that have an established manufacturing base looking to advance, are definitely not markets to ignore, and neither are the tech-friendly hubs like Ireland. Next slide, please, Pam. And let's take a dive into a sub-industry, much more granular, a lot less, exports, but more specific to the equipment. Manufacturing technologies. This is the stuff that makes the things that make the things. Anything from lathes to work holdings to industrial molds, and equipment that's used to work with composites. Our top export markets here might seem familiar from the last slide, but what's interesting to note here is the dramatic spike in the Netherlands and Belgium in 2021, 2022, likely resulting from pandemic supply chain shifts. Be interesting to see how that what happens moving forward with that. In many of our larger volume markets like Germany, we've seen lower compound export growth over the last 5 years. However, we've seen a lot larger export growth figures with some of those smaller markets, like I mentioned before, Poland, but also Hungary, Spain, and Austria. And then one more slide, please, Pam. Let's talk about industrial automation really briefly. You really can't ignore automation these days. It's pretty fundamentally impacting how manufacturers produce across virtually all industries within the manufacturing sector. These companies working with composites and advanced materials are they're probably not strangers to the benefits of automation or the growing necessity of them. Automation's a good proxy for markets looking to advance its manufacturing capabilities and also make the most of its skilled labor, the little that it has available. So that being said, it might not be surprising that exports in this area, particularly after the pandemic, have increased quite a bit to the EU. Top equipment categories here include sensing equipment, electric motors and generators, process controls, and the top markets, again, Germany and Netherlands, familiar faces, but also Western European countries that we didn't see before in previous slides, like France, Italy, and Spain, who you're going to hear from today. So last slide for me, please. I just want to say thank you. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. And I look forward to hearing from our amazing colleagues for deeper dives into their composites markets. Thank you very much. So I'm going to hand this off to Stephanie.
Thank you, Jaron. Hello, everyone. So I am the picture on the screen. Very sorry I could not fix my camera. So, but I promise I'm just behind that picture. So good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for being with us. This morning, we are happy to briefly present the European composite market. Our sources come from different groups, JEC groups, the German Composite Association, AVK, Esten & Co, and Lucentel Market Analysis Agency. So we have prepared a condensed version of their data. So in the next couple of slides, we will focus on general information about the European composite market, as well because we all know here that it's a very vast subject, regrouping a large spectrum of product categories, raw materials, additives, semi-finished products, equipment, and so on. So if you are looking for more specific information, we encourage you to look at composite market segment analysis and also composite by application analysis that those organizations listed above propose. Okay, so the first slide on the screen, the composite industry global market share. Even if the European composite production volume fell by 8% in 2023, it's still an important market for US manufacturers looking to expand globally. In 2023, it represented 19% of the global composite market volume, with 2.5 million tons and a value of approximately $7.8 billion, which represent 26% of the global composite market. The European composite market is expected to grow by 2% during the forecast period 2023 to 2028. The entire world, of course, I'm sure you know about it, is suffering from high energy and commodity prices, problems related to logistics, and uncertainty related to the geopolitical situation. But it seems that European composite market rebounds less rapidly than the rest of the world. And the main reason is probably the transportation industry. Automotive and aerospace, we has not yet returned to its pre-COVID 2020 volume. And this sector is a major application for composite in Europe. Also, the construction sector, the second application area for composite, is in crisis. So for 2024, expectation of growth are not too optimistic, but hopefully new applications such as electromobility are on the way and will help the composite industry grow through these difficult times. So let's hope for 2025. The European composite market is fragmented and characterized by many small-sized companies, where 80 to 90% of the volume is produced by just 10 to 20% of existing companies. Around 70% of the composite manufacturers and suppliers are regrouped into the European Composite Industry Association, ECIA. So it's around 10,000 companies and 150,000 employees. This association, ECIA, main mission is to develop programs and initiatives supporting the sustainable growth of the composite industry in Europe and assisting European composite companies develop their life cycle assessment. And I'm sure you have heard about this. Yeah, I'm not quite there, Pam, but that's okay. I will tell you, don't worry, for the next slide. Each country has industries with various strengths in different applications, and we will talk about this later in the presentation. So yes, next slide now, please, Pam. The next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so main markets and main application in Europe. So information here is related to the thermoset segment only, right? So it doesn't include the thermoplastics segment. So it's important to interpret the statistics that we are providing today. In 2023, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and the Eastern European countries maintained their strong position in the European context and account together for around 2/3 of the European market volume. You can see the market share of each market on the slide. Those countries benefit from a strong composite supply chain, serving large customers in industries such as transportation, so aerospace and automotive, wind energy, construction driven by the development and renovation of buildings and infrastructure, and electrical and electronic market segments. When talking about application, in terms of volume, the largest share of total composite production goes to the transportation sector, which account for almost 50% of the market volume. It includes commercial vehicle, aviation, and public transportation. This sector is expecting to continue driving the composite industry thanks to the increasing market share of electrical passenger vehicle, as well as the development of the hydrogen heavy truck market in Europe. The next two largest areas are the electrical electronic sectors, such as switches, housing, telecommunication equipment, and control cabinets, and application in construction and infrastructure, pipelines, container, tailings profile, etc. Regarding sports and leisure, there are a lot of development in the recreational marine area in Europe, and sporting goods such as rackets, bikes, and skis. Next slide, please, Pam. So, thermosets, thermoplastics in Europe. Thermosets account for 43% of the total market in Europe, whereas thermoplastic accounts for 57%. So it shows the importance of innovation in this field and the industry's commitment to sustainable development. Regarding thermosets, the total production volume of thermosets composite, excluding carbon fiber, carbon reinforced plastics, right, amounted to 1,073 kilotons in 2023, compared to 1,138 kilotons in the previous year. And the two main applications for thermosets is construction and infrastructure sector, accounting for 36.3% of market share, and the transportation sector for a market share of 28.9%. Regarding thermoplastics, so the thermoplastic market in Europe had a total volume of 1,423 kilotons in 2023, compared with 1,586 kilotons in the previous year. In terms of materials, the group is dominated by polyamide, PA, and in the field of long fiber thermoplastics, polypropylene is predominantly used. Overall, short glass fiber reinforced thermoplastics account for a volume of 1,300 kilotons. And in the area of thermoplastic, there is a high dependency on the transportation sector in Europe, which accounts for approximately 65% of application. The pipe on the screen gives you the production volume in kilotons for the different kind of fiber categories. The production of carbon fiber reinforced plastic has grown significantly and reached 63,000 tons in 2023. It's a 10.5% increase compared with 2022. Same things with the natural fiber reinforced plastics. And it's due to environmental benefit and a more intense focus on climate issues within the EU. So mostly flax, hemp, jute, and kenaf are processed through compression molding, injection, and extrusion processes. It's in terms of countries, we can say that Germany, France, and some Eastern European countries such as Poland and Czech Republic and Slovenia dominate processing in Europe. There are nearly 25 European natural fiber and reinforced plastic producers located mainly in Germany, France, Italy, and in the Netherlands. And of course, there's a lot of opportunities in Europe related to recycled composite materials and sustainable solutions to meet European carbon footprint reduction regulation. Next slide, please, Pam. Okay, last slide related to general information about composite in Europe. It's about processes. So when looking at the composite processes the most used in Europe, SMC, BMC, sheet molding compound, bulk molding compound are the most popular as they are used in large series application in the transportation, construction, and infrastructure, as well as electrical and electronic sector. In 2023, growth was only recorded for SMC, BMC, with a +4.9% compared with 2022, and with a production volume of 281,000 tons. SMC is a larger of the two market segments, with a volume of 202 kilotons, and the volume for the BMC is smaller, with 79 kilotons. SMC is expecting to grow by 6% in the coming years, and BMC by 1.3%. Again, transportation accounts for the majority of the total volume market with 60%. It's related to parts such as headlight systems, lamp housings, control cabinets, housings and exterior components, as well as application in the e-mobility sector, such as battery housings and covers, as well as charging infrastructures. Regarding non-creep fabrics, these markets, this process segment declined by 9% to a total volume of 230 kilotons. Non-creep fabrics are mainly used in the wind energy, rotor blade sector, and in boat building. An increase is expecting for NCF as the main driver is the wind energy. And with the European Green Deal, the objective is to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 55% by 2030 and to become climate neutral by 2050. Wind energy accounted for 19% of total electricity generation in Europe in 2023, and Europe needs to reach 30 gigawatts per year to meet its climate target for 2030. Last one maybe we can talk about is the open processes, hand layout, and fiber spraying. It remains one of the largest segments in the glass reinforced plastic market in Europe, with a production volume of 186 kilotons. However, this market segment also declined in 2023 by a total of 9%. The European Legal Environmental Framework for the processing of unsaturated polyester styrene will continue to hold back growth in this segment. So we're not going to, detail all the different processes here. So, but if you are interested to know more, again, the AVK European Market for Composite Fiber Reinforced Plastic report is available online and free of charge. So that's it for that, short presentation on the global European composite market. And I will now introduce my colleagues Nedek from Prague, who will talk about application and main players in the composite industry in Czech Republic. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning from Prague. You've heard a lot of numbers in last two presentations, so let me give you just a short market overview. I have just one slide and you can see it. The automotive sector is the leading one in the Czech Republic. Volkswagen, Toyota, Hyundai produce over 1 million personal cars a year, just in Czechia alone. But it's very difficult to start doing business with these companies. They also suffer from a less than successful transition from combustion engine to electric ones. So, and it's taking its toll now. So I would not recommend to start in this personal car business. Completely different story might be if you focus on utility cars, trucks, trams, trolleys, locomotives, and so on. There are a bunch of producers of these in the Czech Republic or Czechia, if you want, and they are more open to cooperation than those global giants. If you talk about the Czech aerospace industry, this sector offers much better opportunities, and it's much easier to get in. Maybe you don't know that the Czech Republic is one of the 7 countries in the world that can produce its own aircraft entirely. That is design, fuselage, engines, etc. The Association of the Czech Aerospace Industry represents 53 member companies with total turnover of nearly $2 billion and with exports over $600 million in 2023. If I should point out someone, I would pick up 3 companies that produce their own aircrafts. There are others, just those 3, because I want to keep it short. Aerovodochody. You can see a photo of its subsonic combat aircraft on the right. Aerovodochody has produced over 11,000 aircraft in its history. And these days, besides its own production, Aero also manufactures components for Airbus, Embraer, and others. They came up with brand new make, and it's about to be exported in different African and Asian markets. Another Czech company, Aircraft Industries, manufacturer of L410 aircrafts. Also, the photo is on the right. Aircraft Industries has produced more than 1,200 aircraft in its history, and most of them fly in Asia and in Africa. Russian market used to be their major one in past, of course, due to the invasion to Ukraine. They had to change markets completely, and they supply more to Vietnam and these countries. A brand new company established just a couple of years ago, Primoco UAV. It's a Czech manufacturer of drones. Believe it or not, but Primoco keeps 30% of global market share in the category of middleweight drones. Just recently, Primoco announced that they've got a new order for 24 drones worth $20 million. So Primoco is usually the one who we asked by American exporters to contact with. Other Czech manufacturers in this aerospace, drone, light and ultralight aircraft manufacturers, they produce about 350 planes per year, and it's estimated that they need roughly 30 tons of advanced composite per year. So aerospace sector is the one that it's quite promising. However, it can't be as large as the major European sectors like German or French or Italian ones and so on. But it's still a lot of opportunities, and very often it's much easier to get to these local companies with your products than to giant companies like Airbus or so. Let me jump over to sporting goods. Just few highlights again. Czechia is the fourth largest exporter of skis in the world. The first one is Austria, followed by France and Germany. Czechia is the fourth, Italy is the fifth. The Czech export volume was almost 50 million euros in 2023. Sporten and Lusty are the most successful Czech exporters. Again, composite in this subsector is the major advantage. If we talk about bikes, according to the Czech Association of Bike Manufacturers and Importers, about 800,000 bikes are manufactured in Czechia, of which about 300,000 are sold locally. However, and logically, most of these bikes do not use composite, but some of them do. So not, again, a big market, but a niche market with a lot of small scale, but still opportunities. I have to point out hockey sticks. I can't miss it because the Czech Republic has very recently become the world hockey champion. It took place here in Prague, and hockey stick is a niche market for composites, but anyway. The construction sector, more or less, it's about the glass fiber composites. There is the only one manufacturer of glass fibers in Czechia, and it's French Saint-Gobain Adfors. And other companies produce from glass fibers. They generate revenues by about $500 million a year and employ roughly 3,000 employees. So it's still a large sector, but it's quite limited. It's not about most advanced composites. Just closing my presentation. A lot of Czech automotive, construction, defense industries, as well as boat and sport equipment manufacturers. They also use advanced composites, but primarily in small-scale production. If you are interested, we can identify those for you who you might be interested in working with, and what's more important, who they might be interested in working with you. That's it from my side. Thank you now, and I would like to ask Stephanie to make her presentation on the French market. Thank you.
Thank you, Zdeněk. Thank you. So yes, presentation about the composite market in France. So with a GDP of approximately 2.78 trillion US dollar in 2022, France is the world's 7th largest economy in Europe and 3rd largest economy after Germany and the UK. While manufacturing has declined as a percent of GDP, many of France's remaining industries, such as aerospace, automotive, and construction, are still world leaders and receptive to foreign partners and suppliers. France is at the forefront of the circular economy and is a leader in the fight against climate change. Through its France Revival Plan 2030, France will invest in new technologies with the goal of becoming the first European countries to reach carbon neutrality in 2050. In this context, France is expecting to prioritize biocomposite materials, which use reinforcement and resins of vegetable or animal origin, as a sustainable alternative to conventional composites. Indeed, France has developed an expertise in composite reinforced with natural fibers, and the association FIMALIN oversees the promotion of biocomposites in France. The number of French companies whose main activity is in the composite sector is estimated to be between 500 and 550. However, when including the entire value chain, this number rises to over 2,000 companies. A large majority of those firms are small and medium-sized companies. Many of them are located within a cluster dedicated to a specific sector, mainly transportation, materials engineering, biochemistry, and energy. And they are located in one region of the country. Around 24 clusters, directly or indirectly involved with composites, are registered in France. Major industries driving the development of composites are listed in the slide. With no surprise, automotive and aerospace, rail, wind power, marine, and sporting goods. And next to those markets on the slides, you can see listed the name of the major players in France. So France is a key player when it comes to production of hydrogen for automotive hydrogen storage, thermoplastic development with the creation of an R&D center for thermoplastic composite aerostructure in Nantes, development of electrical vehicle representing a market share of 23% of total passenger vehicle sales, with 1 million electrical vehicles registered in France and 500,000 electrical passenger vehicles sold in 2023. Commercial recycling of carbon fiber is also another area where France is progressing, and end of life of recreational boats as well. The French nautical industry has created back in 2019 an organization managing and financing the dismantle and waste treatment of end-of-life recreational boats. This is the only organization for pleasure boats in Europe. French recreational boat manufacturers are responsible for the management of end-of-life of their products. So they are looking carefully at the resins and glass fibers used to make their boats and are interested in projects focusing on the incorporation of shredded materials into fiber-reinforced concrete and mortar and the reuse of parts on boards. Everything related to additive manufacturing, biocomposites, damage and fracture issues, multi-scales modeling of composites, processing modelings, digital twins, artificial intelligence to reinforce automation, durability and aging issues, hybrid materials, 3D modeling of composites, high-performance SMC composite simulation. All of those subjects are of interest to the French industry. So that's, you know, everything I can say about the French market. And now I will let the floor to my colleague Kira from Rome, who will talk about the Italian market. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, and good morning to everyone. I'm Kira Migliorini, and I'm based at the US Embassy in Rome. So the Italian market is an important market. It's a 1 billion market. It's the 4th largest in Europe and has a production of thermosets of 14% in Europe with 150 kilotons, 1,000 kilotons, yeah. It's also a net exporter, so it's a market of 1 billion also exporting, and major use of thermosets as 61% and 39% of thermoplastic, while reinforcement is 78% glass reinforcement, natural fiber is 10%, and recycled fiber also 10%, while carbon it's only 3% and aramid 2%. Now, talking about the application, as you can see, transportation is basically 31% of the market. And when you think about Italy, you probably think about art design, groundbreaking racing cars. And this is correct. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, Dallara, Pagani are all Italian manufacturer in famous Italian manufacturer, for which innovation and composite materials are really important. There are also motorbikes. And motorbikes also have important players like Ducati and Aprilia. And in transportation, we also have trains. Hitachi and Alstom have production site in Italy, and there are a number of suppliers to those major brand of train manufacturer in Italy. Sporting goods, bicycle had a very strong growth between 2021 and 2022, actually a 36% growth. And we are not only talking about normal bikes, but also very sophisticated racing bikes. And some of the name of the producer are Colnago, Bianchi, Olmo, and Campagnolo, really famous around the world. Another important sector is marine for Italy, covering 13% of the market. And marine basically had the strongest and stable growth up to 7 billion. And we are talking again about yacht and pleasure boats manufacturer in Italy, with a very important group of component manufacturers that are interested in innovative product and processes. And then construction. Construction in Italy, it's basically the second sector for application with a 19%. And this is mainly for strengthening the structures and the building. Italy has a very high earthquake risk. There, among the territory, 10% has a very high risk and 29% between medium and high risk of earthquake. Therefore, there is a need of new technology, new material and processing to strengthen the existing building. And you also have to think about the art and architectural treasures present in the country. And also aerospace, it's an important sector for application, although represent only 1% in the Italian market. But you probably have to consider important names like Leonardo and Alenia for satellites, helicopters, and airplanes. And finally, sustainability is becoming crucial also in the Italian market, and there is always a great demand for innovative product, materials, and processes. And thank you. And now I leave the floor to my colleague Carmen Rivera, and she will talk about the Spanish market. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira, and good morning to everybody. Thank you for being in this webinar. I'm going to talk about the Spanish market for composites. With a GDP of 1.7 trillion US dollars and a population of 47 million people, Spain is the fourth largest economy in the Eurozone. The Spanish economy increased by 2.5% in 2023. Spain has a long history of expertise and experience with composites, globally recognized for its work within the sector. Spain ranks third in the Eurozone composite markets thanks to the strength of the aerospace and the automotive industry, with a 14.2% production and 150 kilotons of thermosets composite materials. The number of Spanish composite manufacturers account for around 600. It rises to over 2,000 when including the entire value chain. Most of the market players are SMEs. The main industry applications of composites is primarily aimed at the transportation and construction sectors, including the aerospace, automotive, railway, marine, health, and energy sectors. Going to focus and talk about the aerospace and the automotive sectors. The aerospace industry in Spain innovated the use of carbon fiber reinforced composite materials in the manufacture of parts and sections of aircraft. The aerospace industry in Spain covers the entire design and manufacturing cycle of an aircraft due to the presence of the major OEMs and Tier 1 companies. The aeronautical companies in Spain are considered world leaders in the sectors in areas like the development of composite materials for aircraft structures, military transport aircraft, low-pressure turbines, and air traffic management systems. Spain is the second largest car manufacturer in Europe and the 9th largest in the world. 9 multinational brands such as PSA, Ford, or Mercedes-Benz have 70 manufacturing plants in Spain, which produced 2.1 million vehicles in 2021. That's including 16 electrical models. Spanish companies in the automotive sector are developing thermoset resin and bio-based thermosets for interior, exterior, and other components. The major growth drivers for this market are increasing automotive production and growing demand for lightweight and durable materials due to the strict government regulation to increase fuel efficiency and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Spain has some of the biggest research facilities in Europe. The diversity of centers shows how important and relevant R&D is in Spain, with 79 technology centers and many entities and clusters directly or indirectly involved with composites. The Spanish Association of Composites Materials actively contributes and promotes the competitiveness and economic development of Spanish companies in the composite sector. That's all from here. Thank you. Now, I'm pass the word to my colleague Stephanie.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you. We will, the last slide of that presentation is about market entry and how the US Commercial Service can assist. So before entering the European market, it's really important to consider for US company, I mean for a foreign company, but obviously here for US company, it's important to consider your own resources and previous export or business experience abroad, as well as long-term business strategy. So for many companies, representation in Europe by agents or distributors, liaison offices, or joint venture partners will be key to your success. A local partner can provide knowledge related to local regulatory framework, because in Europe, you all know it's quite important. You have, lots of things related to a REACH requirement, related to chemicals and end-of-waste substances, machinery directive, including the low voltage directive and the electromagnetic compatibility directive. Also CE mark related to equipment and machinery. And of course, a local partner can help with language assistance and valuable business contacts. Then, as business develops, company may establish subsidiaries and make further local investment to expand their market share. European countries have their own characteristic, and having a representative covering several countries may work in some geographies, but not in others. So while we see many opportunities for US companies in Europe, there are also challenges to entry and expansion. Any market entry strategy should begin with a good understanding of the cost and benefits of doing business in a specific country. In most cases, it is essential to visit the market and establish relationships with local partners. Investing in these relationships early and routinely will increase the chance of a more successful venture. European OEMs and Tier 1 suppliers in all the different applications we mentioned during that presentation are now required to report and reduce climate impacts for their manufacturing facilities and from their supply chain. They are now looking carefully at suppliers' life cycle assessment to meet with Europe LCA compliance defined by the ISO 4040 standard. So these new environmental regulation challenge opportunities for foreign companies located outside of Europe to participate to tenders, and opportunities. So it's very important to define the right strategy and the right partners to succeed in Europe. So basically, to enter the European market, it's important to benefit from a good market share in the US and have experience in other parts of the world, if possible. Understand regulatory requirements and what needs to be done to sell in Europe. To travel to trade events, conferences, to learn about the supply chain, the competition. Participate at events, at conferences to show to the European composite players that you are a serious actor and that you are ready to invest time and money in Europe. That's very important. And it's also worth considering establishing relationship with European groups set up in the US market to facilitate connection in Europe. That's also a complementary approach. How we can help you as US Commercial Service Network? We can help you learn about market trends, entry strategy, and local business practices. You can obtain an initial assessment of the market potential of your product through programs that we propose, like the Initial Market Check program or the International Partner Search program. So those programs, cost, like if you are a small company, the Initial Market Check costs $350. The International Partner Search costs $750. So that's not, a high fee. And it helps you to get some kind of feedback from the industry, to know if there's some interest about your product, and talk to people, partners and users, to have a better sense of how to enter, what kind of product maybe you can push ahead, to break through, those kind of things. And we also you can also through us benefit from matchmaking, and we can also maximize your visibility at European trade shows by exhibiting within the US pavilions. So if you are a US pavilion exhibitor, our team today and more of our colleagues in Germany and Turkey and more, we promote your company to our local network, we facilitate connection, and we set up meeting for you at the show. On the slide, you see a US pavilion. This is the example of the type of services and assistance we provide at the JEC World Trade Show taking place in Paris, France each year in March. So that's example of the assistance we can provide. So I will let Pam conclude this presentation and open the floor to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Particularly, what a great slide to bottom line it. Why we're here, market opportunities in Europe, and then how to capture them. We are over the top of the hour, but I'm going to share the slide with our contact details for follow-up. And I know that Stampy is going to share the recording for this in the presentation. We had a couple of questions. Let me see if we can cover. One is, okay, when the presentation is going to be available. Stampy will take care of that. Why is it hard to enter the German market? Stephanie, I don't know if you have, our colleague in Germany, who normally is one of our members of this project team, is not available today. So that is, for a really detailed answer, would have to wait till she returns. I don't know if Stephanie, if you have a quick answer.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. What is the question again?
The question is, why is it hard to enter the German market? I think that was part of your initial.
Well, I mean, yeah, again, Kirsten is, the specialist for the German market, but basically, that's the reason why we say Europe is difficult. I mean, when you have a very strong supply chain in place in a market, I mean, as Jaron said, I mean, and as we show you during our presentation, Germany is the #1 composite market, right, in Europe. It means they have a very strong supply chain in place. So when you have a very strong supply chain in place, it's more difficult to break through and enter. This is the reason why, trying to sell, maybe you're going to have a couple of, opportunities and sell, a couple of products here and there. Opportunities will come maybe through the web or because you met someone, at Sempi, traveling a foreign customer, or at Camex. But then I mean, it's going to stop there, and it's not going to bring you a lot of business until you have someone which represents you in the market. Especially, we're talking about industry sectors like, where everything is through tenders and aerospace, automotive, rail, wind energy, all those sectors. It's very difficult until you have a feet on the floor. I think that's the reason. And I'm sure, I mean, Germany is difficult, but also Italy and Spain and France the same way, basically. I hope he answered the question.
Thank you very much. I think that is a great answer. And we are after the top of the hour, so to be respectful of everyone's time, if you have a question and you want to direct it to someone here on the list, please do. And is there anything else from our shop, Stephanie? I think it's time for us to wrap up.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope it was useful to you, and do not hesitate to contact us anytime.
And thank you all for our colleagues. They'll come on camera. And we welcome you to work with us in the composites industry and
Maybe
to expand your
another
business.
question about ITAR and export control in the QRN. Maybe I can answer it if the one is.
Oh, that would be terrific.
Okay. I do export or military export orientation seminars here in Prague, so I'm quite involved. If I understand the question well, it is whether we work or evaluate to remove items that may fall under this criteria. It's pretty complex question, but to answer it very quickly. There are ITAR that it's managed by the Department of State. Concretely, it's a Directorate of Defense Trade Controls, DDTC. They work on ITAR controls. The idea from a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, was that it's a problem to have everything controlled by ITAR because it's extremely strict and it makes life of exporting companies difficult. So a lot of formerly ITAR regulated staff moved to export control classification or export administration, EAC, export administration regulation, and there is a so-called export control classification number. To make it short, this export administration regulation, it's managed by BIS, it's Bureau of Industry and Security, and it's a Department of State. It means it's us. We are from Department of Commerce. So if you need to work on this, we can easily direct you to the BIS and they can answer your questions. There are some committees that always work on classification, whether it works, it falls under ITAR or EAR. But generally speaking, we do our best to move not national security items from ITAR to EAR because it's much, much easier. Of course, it's not a short process. It takes usually a year until it's re-registered somewhere else, but it works. I hope I answered the question.
Well, thank you very much. Yes. All right. We are going to close. Thank you all, and we look forward to working with Sampi more in the future, and hopefully we'll see some of you at some upcoming trade show or trade event. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.